How do you do that? Welcome back to the coffee break. I am ready to get going and share with you some thoughts that I've been having this week right here on the coffee break. This is that time when we just sort of sit back and chill out and share with one another. If you want to participate, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Give me a big thumbs up on the video. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when I have other videos coming up in the future. And don't forget to share with other people if you're so inclined. And leave comments in the comment boxes below so that we can continue this conversation together. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get started on today's topic. I've had a lot of things going through my mind that are related to one another, and one of them is thinking about when I was a kid. There was a game that we used to play, and I understand that it started out in, I guess, Europe, and it was called the Chinese Whispers. But here in the US of A, we call it the telephone game or gossip. It's where you start a circle of people. It's just a little game that kids play where one person is the leader to start off the game, and they whisper something into somebody else's ear, and then that person continues saying the same thing in the next person's ear all the way around the circle until you get to the very last person, and then they share what they think they heard. And generally it's a lot of fun because it never turns out that what was originally stated from the first person is what comes back to the last person. So it's all distorted in the end when you pass it from one person to another. And I thought about that because it's so true that things get convoluted and distorted in our world today. And it's been going on not just for current times, but for a long time. That's what I realized. And it really hit me when I was watching some movies this week, because I'm in that mode to watch a bunch of movies because that's something I do every year. About this time, look at all the releases from last year and decide which movies were the best in my opinion, because I have to vote for them for the Screen Actors Guild. So one of those movies I watched last night was the Trial of the Chicago 7. And then another movie I watched, actually it wasn't on the list, it was something I watched on TV that was broadcast from several years ago called Denial. Now, both of these movies have something similar in common. They both were in a courtroom. But the thing was, like with Denial, the prosecuting side of the court was claiming that the Holocaust never happened. Okay? And then in the Trial of the Chicago 7, the judge is what struck me as being someone who was in denial about a lot of different things. He was just ignoring some very important things that were going on during the trial. Like one of the people that was sitting at the table on the defendant's side of things didn't have a lawyer, but he kept saying he would not acknowledge that the lawyer wasn't there and that this gentleman couldn't represent himself. He had to be represented by a true lawyer in the courtroom. And he says, well, my lawyer is in the hospital. And the judge would not ever acknowledge that there wasn't an attorney present to represent that gentleman. And he would just railroad the entire proceeding as if it wasn't true. Okay, so what I'm seeing here in the pattern of these two movies that relate back to the children's game, the telephone hour, is that things get convoluted and they get confusing and they get pushed in all kinds of directions, and you don't know which direction you're going in, if it's right or wrong. So there's some real question these days on what is right and what is wrong, which can go into a whole nother video, of course. But and thinking about how there are people out there who are definitely denying that things that actually happened didn't happen, or that aren't scientifically proven to be true, aren't true, such as the people who believe the earth is flat, even unto this day. There are people out there who believe that. This leads me to talk about how in our world today we have people who are put in positions of power who don't have the qualifications to be there. They don't have anything but their own self-agenda that they're supporting, so they will say and do anything to get everyone else to go in that direction, such as this person who doesn't believe the Holocaust happened, or people who believe the earth is flat when we know that's not the case, people who have conspiracy theories that they're trying to prove that are real when they're not, and this group called QAnon who are making all these claims, and how people have fallen victim and fallen into the belief system of these different types of thought processes, are actually being elected into Congress, and and people are lying outright and starting some of these conspiracies or rumors and what have you. So it's getting all convoluted and smoky and vague, and and things start to go wrong because people are falling victim to believing that a lot of these things are true. And it becomes more difficult, in my opinion, to discover what really is true and what isn't true. And the media isn't helping at all either, because they are glorifying these things by constantly by giving them airtime, basically. It's like marketing, And, but I think it's causing a lot of damage. There are people out there who are demanding that you operate the way they want you to operate. Okay? Believe in what they say. For example, I had a manager once who kept asking me to take on a mid-level management position, and I kept turning him down. I kept saying no, no. And then one day he brought me into his office, and he just basically said, in no uncertain terms and not in a pretty way either, he said, "You're going to take this job and you're going to like it. You're going to do it because I said so." And he forced me to take a management position that I didn't really want. And that was his style. It was very Trump-like, forcing people to do things that you want them to do just because you want them to do it, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, whether it's right or wrong. It's just because that's your agenda. It's like when, your parents say something like, you know what, you listen to your parents and you do what they say, and you respect who they are, and you don't argue with them at all. You don't question anything. So if they say the sky is purple, then by George, the sky is purple. And you're supposed to believe that and not question it. See, this is where, I feel like, things are getting smoky and convoluted, and to the extent that you just don't know what's real and what isn't real anymore. Okay, it's about power, and it's about control, and it's about pushing your agenda. And that's what these movies were conveying to me, and I started thinking about that and how that is so easily happens in our society. And it goes back to playing that children's game of the Chinese whisperers, or the telephone hour, or the gossip, however you want to call it. And so out of this comes a lot of hatred. And I'm seeing nothing but hatred in the news, with people discussing the whole racism issue, but taking it further than that. And, they're hurting people. Why are people literally hurting people, killing people, beating them up, bullying them, harassing them, and doing all these things just because someone wanted to do it, or didn't like how they looked, or what they believed in, or anything like that? It's just extreme, and in the end it makes no sense to me. So those were the things that were coming through my mind this week as I was watching this movie, or these movies. And I'm thinking, as I'm watching through social media and I'm seeing people saying, stop the hate, and there's no need for this racism, and people have to wake up and say, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore, which takes us back to that movie called Network, where that gentleman kept saying, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. You know, there's a lot of truth to this, but this just shows you that this is just something that's been going on a very, very long time. Maybe it's part of human nature where some people just don't get it in their head that, you know, we're supposed to be operating on a level of brotherly love. You know, they were supposed to be trying to work things out with each other, not work against each other, not get a group together and say, we have a common bond and we want to go in this direction, so the heck with everybody else. Let's just do everything we can to cut them down to size and destroy them. Hey, listen, folks, humanity is going to really end itself if we don't stop this. So that's my thought this week. It's something to think about and go a little further in addressing by taking some kind of affirmative action within your own heart, within your mind, your soul, and your spirit to say, I think we need to stop the nonsense, okay? It's very clear when someone is doing something wrong. And even though there may be several right ways to do things and several wrong ways to do things, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt when something is absolutely 100% wrong. And if you keep supporting that which is wrong, it's just going to cause more damage and it be more destructive to everyone. And eventually it's going to be destructive to you as well. Now, I could go on and on and on and talk a little bit more about this. Of course, this topic is very sensitive and very important right now, but point of my conversation with you today in this little sit-down session is, hey, we need to wake up and realize that there are people out there who are going to take advantage of the situation, and they're going to do anything at any cost to make sure they get their way. They're going to lie, they're going to cheat, they're going to steal, they're going to push their opinions on you, and they're going to spread falsehoods and rumors. And you just have to sort of say, hey, let me look inside myself. Let me be prayerful and mindful and meditative and contemplative about what I think and what I believe and what I see really going on out there in the world. And let me make a better stand for what I believe in accordingly. And do so in a very mindful way. You know, we can't keep pushing the limits like we have been in this world and expect humanity to come out smelling good, as they said, like roses. Anyway, that's enough for me ranting today on my thoughts brought about by these movies, but I think there's some truth there, so let's think about that throughout the rest of the week. And if you have any thoughts to share, like I said earlier, leave them in the comment box below. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm not 100% right in anything I say or think or do, but this is my chance to sit down and talk about things, at least for a little bit. So I'd like to find out what you think too. So go ahead and leave your comments in the comment boxes below, and we'll do it again next time. Until then, have a great week, and bye for now.